coming into the game, just from NBA fans, basketball fans, what was it like coaching in this game and just the level of competition and heart that was on the floor?
Yeah, it was a great game. It was a great environment. It was a great test for both teams. Obviously, they were better tonight, but that was a good experience for us, having to come in here in a hostile environment on the road against a really good team that's playing at a very high level. So there's things we can learn from it, take away from it, and carry forward with us, in the next coming weeks, and we see them again very shortly, and see our ability to kind of course correct some of the things that we could have done better tonight.
Yeah, there were 30 lead changes, I think, in the game, and so kind of could be easy to pick apart every single possession one way or the other, but were there maybe an overarching controllable that you felt like tonight was something that you guys want to work on moving forward?
I think obviously defensively with how we've played all season, we let them get loose on a lot of plays, but that's what they do to you. It's like you got to be really, really good on a possession to get a stop or to force a tough shot against them. Point of attack, initial help, closeouts, rebounding. You got to do all that well against them. That's the stress they put you under. They deserve credit for that. We obviously could have been a lot tighter on that end, but that's what they do to you.
Mark, I don't know if you've played a lot of bigs that have imposed their will the way Jared Allen maybe did tonight, and you've won big games against two big lineups even without Chet. I guess I wonder what made Allen specifically effective, but also just him and Mobley, that pairing.
He was great tonight. Allen, he played a great game. He was a force on the glass. A lot of our foul trouble came on the glass with him, and that set us back at different parts of the game. He had a great night. Great performance by him and their team. Again, something we can learn from, but give him credit. He played really well.
And you just mentioned some of those setbacks. I imagine one of them was Shea missing a chunk of that third quarter, but that lineup without him, kind of put you guys in a position to win the game in the fourth. I guess where do you think things kind of steered the other way late game?
A lot of it was just the stops. Even in the third, we were moving the scoreboard. I think we scored 43 in the third, but we got really loose down the stretch of the third. We were kind of trading baskets at that point in the game, which obviously isn't our identity, and they really executed down the stretch and made big plays. So, but yeah, that group did a great job. They stabilized the game. We took a lead at that point in the third quarter. A lot of good things tonight, obviously.
Seemed a couple every time you guys did turn the corner, got in the paint, no matter who it was, there was either Mobley or Allen there, and obviously there's a lot of big guys in this league, but did that maybe have a bit of an impact, just trying to get floaters and get buckets over the guys?
Yeah, I thought we did a decent job of attacking them. We found some threes. We found some drop-offs to cutters. We were good in transition, I thought, for much of the night. I thought we played with a lot of confidence and decisiveness. They zoned us a lot late, and I thought we did a decent job most of the night attacking that. Those guys are obviously really good players, but I thought our issue tonight was defensive. I thought we scored enough, obviously, to win the game, but we just didn't get enough stops against a team that you have to try to slow down.
It's kind of strange to be talking about defense and not getting enough stops, and Mitchell was like 3 of 13. I mean, was that part of your game plan to really sell out on him a little bit?
Not sell out. I mean, they stress you out because they've got those point of attack guys, him and Garland, and then they've got, the rim presence with the two bigs, and then they've got the shooting, and then they've got tonight the rebounding hurt us a little bit. So, you got to be really good in all facets on that end of the floor against them. That's why they're the best offense in the league, and they got the best of us tonight.
I was going to ask that exact question about Donovan. So we wanted something a little bit bigger picture, if I can. The Thunder and the Cavs are historically good right now, and you're both set up to be really good for a long time, just the way the roster is constructed, those kinds of things. Is this or I guess, how good can this be for the league at large that's kind of, moving on from its older generation of stars to have two teams in smaller markets that are as good and exciting as you guys are?
Yeah, I mean, I don't study like macro league trends, so I'm like the worst person to ask that. I'm like focused on the Thunder defense. But with that being the case, there's a lot of great players in the league. There's a lot of great teams in the league. There's a lot of great young players in the league. I think the league is very well set up moving forward, not only because of these two teams, but a lot of teams and a lot of players. I think it's a very, very healthy product right now, and these two teams I think are a part of that.
We'll go to Joel. Coach, nice.
Mark, just zooming back into tonight, and I guess across the season, like we talked a bunch about rebounding last year. I don't know how much you've cared about that this year, but it feels like, I know you mentioned the turnovers are a product of the activity, but it feels like that's kind of been the formula to offset from the rebounding. Were you looking at that tonight at all in terms of the activity turnovers? Because, 15 feels relatively low for you guys this season. Bad.
Yeah, I think we had them in a crowd a little bit. I thought, we were reactive to them and not as disruptive as we normally are. But still had, we got our shots in on them. And then the rebounding has been pretty good. It's been, I think top half of the league for a good stretch of games now. I don't know exactly what the stretch is, but that hasn't been like a recurring issue for us lately. And so it's a single game, situation. We're not going to overreact to it. We've obviously played really well. We've done really well on the glass. We got to learn from it. I think the overall execution was the issue tonight. But again, they're a team where you don't have a lot of margin for error with how good they are offensively. So a lot of the credit should go to them as well.
And I imagine a lot of teams, you guys haven't had a lot of those late game chances. Some of these games are blowouts, so plenty of these games are blowouts. Just, do you revel in that chance to get that experience late game? You guys have had experience dating back to last year with that.
Yeah, I think we've played a good amount of those games over the last couple of years. We've played a decent amount this year. I think we played probably 10 or 12 or something like that, which isn't the normal proportion. But we've been in these situations. We've done well in these situations for the most part. There's things we can learn. I thought the floor game tonight is really what hurt us more. We play the game kind of on their terms, and it's difficult to win when you let the opponent set the terms like that.
Was it challenging at all when Shea picked up the fourth foul, Ihart picked up his fourth foul? Was it tough to kind of maneuver around that?
Not really. I was actually planning on subbing Shea in the third anyways, going into halftime. And I actually mentioned that to him this morning. So it really wasn't overly reactive to the fouls. I left Hart in there with 4 during that time. I really usually don't react too much to foul trouble. Neither of them fouled out, So I'm pretty aggressive with that. Trust the guys. But I thought in the first half it was a little bit of an issue because it was just across the starters. They all had 2 or 3 fouls.
And playing in an environment, you can only help out your team.
Yeah, that's a great one for us. We knew coming into the game we'd get a lot out of this game regardless of what happens. So would they, because it's 2 high-level teams really trying to win in a hostile environment. We just got a nice run at home where our fans kind of put the wind in our back. And we had to come in here tonight, it's kind of just us. But I love playing on the road for that reason. It's awesome when it's just kind of your tight group.
Michael's got one?
Yeah, just a quick one. You look at go back to the cup game, for example, and it was offensive struggles that were sort of highlighted. Tonight you're saying defensive struggles. Is there 2 super high-profile games? Is there any? Are they just one-offs in your mind?
It's just what happens when you play against really good opponents. It's hard to get. It's hard to get them every time. When you're playing against great teams. We've beaten our share of good teams here over the last week, and certainly have confidence. But that's why they're really good teams. You got to play up to a really high standard that we didn't reach in that Milwaukee game or tonight. But that's what really good teams do to you.
So you already talked about Mitchell kind of having an off night, but Allen and Mitchell combined for 13 assists. How does it make an offense so hard to guard when you're getting playmaking like that from your bigs?
The way we guarded Mitchell and Garland, put them in decision-making situations, and they did a great job. Sometimes you just got to tip your hat. They played a really clean game, and really had the ball ahead of us a lot of the night, and a lot of that was those guys. The reads they made and getting the ball ahead of us once it came out of the pick and rolls. So it's a pick your poison proposition against a really good team, and you're not going to take everything away. We'll look at it, we'll learn from it, apply it to the next time we play them, try to improve. But that's why they're a really good team. They put you in those spots.
Anybody else? Thank you, Coach.